All right, let's move on to our Chaos of War segment, which is going to be some interesting stuff tonight, right, Alex? We've got the first large tournament. You participated in it. It was kind of crazy. We got some Palpatine deck to talk about, baby. I'm so excited. It's a Palpatine yellow, so it's not my favorite, but it is dirty, and Palpatine yellow just might be the dirty Palpatine that finally takes something down. Let's see. But why don't we get into our Chaos of War? All right, welcome to our Chaos of War segment. This is where we're going to cover SSG Con Columbus 1K from November 14th through the 16th. There was 3 tournaments, 2 1Ks and a 2K. Alex went to the 2K, took the whole thing down, was champion.
Yeah, I wish.
That wasn't you, sorry.
That was someone else from Michigan.
It was someone else. Well, is Tada from Michigan? I didn't know.
I don't think so.
Anyway, so there was some interesting decks. So they had 3 different tournaments. Because they are not planetary qualifiers, there was not the same attendance, but there's definitely a big enough attendance that I wanted to cover them tonight, because I really think, like, when we talk about first beta, first blood for the beta, like, this is a good conversation to have, right? Like, we all talk about, all these other things that could be going on, but this is a great conversation to say, what is the beta going to shape up and kind of look like first glance? I think we've talked about this before, right? We know aggro always comes out strong. Aggro is always one of the first things that comes out when new sets come out, and people then have to adjust on how to beat the different ones. It takes a little bit more time. But this set felt a little differently. I don't feel that we're getting like all aggro. Like, I feel with Boba being removed, we're seeing some control come back. We're seeing a lot bigger range of mid-range decks than we've ever seen. And we've got a Tarkin Blue, baby. A Tarkin Blue deck, which is absolutely hilarious, because there's a local of mine that came a couple weeks ago and he played a Tarkin Blue deck and like wrecked everybody but one person. Like, he only lost to one person. He lost to a Dooku deck, and that was it. Other than that, he like wrecked the whole thing, and like, I was like, Tarkin Blue? Like, oh, really? Like, we saw a little bit of this.
Tell me that deck.
Yeah,
I think that's interesting.
I thought so too, and like, I just was like, oh, this is really cool, and it's like control-ish until it doesn't want to be control-ish. So they did not play out the top cut. They just split the pricing for top 8. But we had 2 Jango Tarkins, a Kira green, an Anakin blue, a Quinlan green, a Han 2 ACL, which I thought was interesting, and then we had our Pelp yellow, baby, hitting top 8 there. So excited for that. I love it. Day 2, and this is the one Alex was in. This one had 70 players. A little bit different of a top cut, but pretty similar. We saw 3 Jango Tarkin towns. And I want to like express that I'm pretty sure that most of these are space ones. So we'll talk about that when we get to the decks here.
They are.
So that's a conversation we are going to have tonight, because I think that's an important conversation to have. But there is also a Han 1 yellow, which I think we predicted that was going to be one of the things to replace it. Anakin blue stepping up. That's neat to see an Anakin blue. Of course, there's a Sabine ECL. Can't get away from Sabine ECLs. And a Ray red Tarkin town, and then another in the Kira green. I don't know if it's the same guy as the day 1. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing it might be, but I don't know for sure. So I did get to watch the Kira deck play on screen that Saturday. That was fun. Then our last one was that Sunday, and on the Sunday, they had, again, a very similar cut, except for there was a Bosk blue and a Luke green. So I don't know what happened. Did the Tarkin Town people go home, or did people tech against it? That's the real question, and maybe you can answer that in a minute if you know, like, if Ryan stayed and played that day or not. But
I was going to say, I believe he did, but I don't think he might have played.
Do you know if he played the same deck? I'm assuming he played Jango. Like, that would be my assumption.
I believe so, but I don't. Right.
We'll look it up afterwards. We'll look it up in just a minute. That's what we'll do. I'll pull it up on my phone here in just a second. But there was two Anakin blues, a Pelp yellow again, a Yoda yellow, which I'm so excited to see Yoda finally crack, a Sabine ECL, Quinlan green, Luke green, which is super exciting to see Luke come back, and a Bosk blue. Crazy, right? Like this day, either everybody just wanted to play for fun decks, or this day people started teching against some of these other like Django decks, which again, I think that's what we got to talk about, right? Because if you could tech against Django, is he really that powerful, or was this just one of those decks that just happened to catch people by surprise? Which I don't know how it could, but they caught him by surprise, and like that's people. Then by day 3, we're able to tech against it and squash it. So let's go back to your run. You didn't run any of these decks, and we're not going to go over your list. We'll keep it secret, and as you tweak it. Actually, we already went over.
Yeah,
we did. I'm just messing with people. But let's talk a little bit about your run and kind of like your feel for the day and what you saw. How about we do that? Because I think that's important to kind of get an understanding of how the day went.
Yeah, so remember we drove up at 4 a.m. to go out there. It was me and a couple of locals, Jack and Jake. Jake was running his own version of Django Tarkentown that he actually like kind of developed independently of like the popular KTOT one. So his is actually close, but like in a different shell. He's got it's a little bit more into mid range than it is straight aggro. And my buddy Jack, he brought a Iden Blue because for some reason all my locals are playing Iden Blue. I don't get it. Everyone jumped on that bandwagon by me again out of nowhere, and no one knows why. We were discussing amongst ourselves if there was some sort of weird catalyst for it, and it just seemed all like everyone diverged on it randomly. I brought my Boba Blue. I don't feel like I should have to specify hero anymore now that the other Boba's banned, but
Old man
it is
Boba.
Hero Boba. So it says green blue hero, which is a very strong color combination right now. It is very much just drop sentinels, eke out some advantage here and there, and then in the end game I have like triple Luke, triple U-Wing, double Home One, double Redemption, double Zillow Beast. So hopefully that end game can win. Sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, it's just it's a really cool deck. It's very frustrating. It absolutely stonewalls and demolishes Django Tarkentown. Those games are never close. And it's also happened to be pretty good against most aggro because again, it's a lot of Sentinel and the math gets really bad for your opponent when you have Boba's ability, give something +1 attack when you play a keyword. Your modded cohorts can swing in and ambush for 5, so you can just like one-shot Sabines. Your village protectors hit back for 3. Your Concord Dongs hit back for 4. You got your Larens in there, so your Concord Down interceptors can eat from a Daring Raider or the Ruthless Raider and still live, which is very frustrating for the Tarkin down Django decks.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's real silly. A lot of the stuff it does. I did go 3-4, which is less than I wanted to do. But it is what it is. My first opponent actually was a yellow blue Han, which was
Spicy.
very interesting. Yeah, it's it kind of plays like you would like a yellow Yoda, where it's just like, yeah, you have all these force units, you can kind of drop things off a little bit early because of Han. You still have now there are 2 of them. The force energies in there. It's kind of crazy. It was cool. Our game went to time, which like never happens with me. On the 3rd game, and he managed to take it out with just. Actually, it was Grogu. Grogu ruined my life. I didn't really have ground units, so he just kept exhausting my home one. With Grogu,
so dirty.
And then between exhausting my home one and also waylaying it a couple times, he actually managed to whittle me down. Like I can't do much when I'm just attacking with a Concord Dawn Interceptor and an Arc every turn, and he's got a full board. So that was a very cool series. My next opponent was playing a yellow Sabine, which I feel like I should win 90% of the times, and this was the 10% I didn't. Um, Sometimes you just don't draw cards. My first game by resource. So turn three, I have four resources. Do you know what? You know what I drew? I remember this because of how silly it is. I drew both Zillow Beasts,
Oh,
two U-wing reinforcements, a home one, a redemption, and a Luke by turn three.
mm, that's awful.
Against a Sabine.
Yep, you've lost that game.
So yeah, I promptly lost that game. We played a second one. I didn't have a unit out for the first two turns, and so you lose that one. And then we played a friendly third game because we had like 30 minutes left, and I'm just like, oh my god, do I just auto lose the Sabine? Is my whole life wrong? And I kind of drew normal cards, and I had like 3 damage on my base by the end of the game. So yeah, starting off 0-2 was bad. A couple 5-2s will make it, but they ain't gonna make it with the breakers I was gonna get. So my next opponent was like a yellow Anakin. I managed to control that well enough to win. The two people after that were running Django Tarkentown, so those were just essentially free wins. So that was nice. Went up to 3-2. Played a Green Cad Bane deck, which was wild. Our games were just super swingy back and forth. Eventually, he has like Cad Bane unit that just kind of really messes with that deck because you take like an Echo based defender and a Village Protector and like an Arc,
Mhm.
and you're just like, oh great, cool. Or I think he captured like one of my home ones because it had like 2 health left on it, or my redemption because it had 2 health left on it. So unfortunately, I lost those, and then the last one I played it was a blue Palpatine, uh, which was great. But I don't think I'd ever beat a blue Palpatine deck with this Boba deck, just because his end game is actually better than mine, and he doesn't really care about my ground units, and I'm not going to put enough damage to stop a Palpatine there. But it was kind of cool. It was like a low cost separatist package for like the first, half of the deck, and then the other half was like the higher cards you'd normally expect, like the Avengers and all that kind of stuff, which I liked.
I actually really like Palpatine Blue right now, and
Mhm.
maybe just because it's like reminiscence of me playing Kira, but now I can play my Palp again, right?
Yeah.
So I have a Jabba showcase. If anybody wants to trade a Jabba showcase for a Palp showcase, that'd be super awesome. Though I have thought about playing Jabba again just because I have the showcase. I don't know. See. Jabba's so much fun to play. I really like playing Jabba. But so it sounds like you had a decent, kind of decent run.
Up and
Some
down,
heartbreakers, yeah.
very tired going in,
Yeah. I
incredibly
think that
tired going out.
that affects I do think that affects a little bit decision making wise, right? And like I don't know. I find when I'm tired and I play, I have less patience, and I either make like super impulse decisions that I should probably think through. When I played Loopy at that other tournament for the planetary qualifier, that was kind of how I felt. Like towards the end, it was just like, come on, let's just one of us just has to win. And then I should have been a little bit more competitive in that aspect. But when you get tired and you're hungry and you're ornery, it's a little harder to maintain some of that. And that's why some of these other players do really well, because that's like something that is good for them. You don't eat either. So like how many beers did you have, Alex? That's what I want.
We weren't drinking because it
Oh,
was it was
wow.
9 in the morning, so it was kind of hard to just get alcohol. Uh, um,
Yeah, okay.
we had some
You
breakfast.
just
We had
need
a little bit
Cody. That's what
yeah,
you need.
I know. I wasn't driving, so it's not like I had the alcohol on me or anything. But yeah, it was. I didn't miss any triggers, and I don't think I made like severe misplays. But I think most of like why I was just not doing well was also like I was not considering what possibilities my opponent could have played, which I normally do. But like when you're that, got that much like brain fog, and you're just like, okay, I'm here. I also didn't have any caffeine at all. Whoopsies. So that was like not exactly ideal. So I really wasn't like considering, oh, he might just drop X here. Maybe I should do this instead. Or oh, right, they're on 5 resources in yellow, and they got a couple units out. They're probably gonna play Plo Koon. I should attack one of their units so he doesn't swing for 6 kinda thing.
Mm, mm.
But it was great. It was very fun. We had a fair amount of locals. They did really well. I believe we had 2 locals in the top 8 in each of the 3 tournaments. I know Sanazuski got in there with Django
Yep.
Tarkentown. I believe Cole was the one playing Quinlan Voss Green, or he was playing. I think he was the Quinlan Voss in the first one. Um, and Phil was the one playing the Green Luke deck that we were commenting about in the third tournament. And Kyle also got on the third day of the third tournament with Quinlan Voss Green. And I'm just trying to remember if we had anyone other than Sanazuski in the top 8 for the Big 2K. I don't think so. But we had a really good showing for Michigan. And that's always great when we're going down to Ohio.
Yeah, I'm a little sad. I should have gone, but I don't. I'm just so torn. Sometimes, like, it feels for you at least it was like a little bit closer. Like for me, that would have been another 3 hours on top of that. Like I'd had to get up at midnight. I had to leave at midnight to make the game. Make it there to have breakfast and everything.
Yeah.
I could have done the overnight thing. I kind of wish Stanny had reached out to. I probably might have people had asked me ahead of time, but just without having a lot of other people and it just I don't know. Like I don't like going to tournaments that far away alone. It's just not fun. Like I really like people, I guess, when I go to church. But I think that's a big thing for which we should probably talk about Worlds at some point, right? Like or whatever they're gonna call it. I don't know what they're gonna call it. But the Galactic Championships, is that what they call it? I think
that sounds about right.
But we should probably talk about that because that might be something fun that we could figure out how to do something really cheap. And it is in Vegas, so maybe we can win some of our money back. Maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
Can we go play some craps? I kind of want to go play. I do want to go play craps. Like that sounds like a lot. I just gotta convince the wife how to get there, and then it'll be even better.
So let's jump into these decks.
Yeah,
and then made the top.
Yep. So they did play out that 2K. They split pricing, but then I think they played it out just for the sake of playing it out to see who won. And so Tada, John from KTOD, is one of the guys that has been big part of that group. He's the one that won the whole thing essentially, with that Django Tarkentown. So you want to go over the deck?
Yeah,
or you want Stanny's deck?
Well, I prefer Sanazuski's deck.
Okay,
but
I'll take this. That's fine. So the Django Tarkentown, we have 3 ISB agents, 3 Greedos, 3 Daring Raids, 1 Force Choke, which I just feel is bad. Like, give me more Force Choke, baby. 3 of the Cartel Spacers, 2 No Good To Me Deads, 3 Crafties, 3 Kylo Silencer, 3 Surprise Strikes, 1 Merchant Gunship, 2 of the, is that
Breaking In?
It is Breaking In. Okay.
Yep.
Breaking In, 3 7 Fleet Defenders, 1 Vambrace, 3 of the Lurking Ties, 3 Triple Dark Raids, 3 of the amazing elite elite rogues. Is that what we get to call them? Like they're cool rogues.
P38s.
Yeah, I love those. 1 Waylay, 1 Imperial Interceptor, 1 TIE Advance, 3 Ruthless Raiders, 3 Vet's Fire Sprays, and then 1 of those silly little tanks that actually does more damage than you think. The sideboard, 1 Fang Fighter, which I think is crazy. That's like very low, it feels, but you do get the 3 Sabines. You can still strip the hand. 1 Vambrace extra, 1 more of the Imperials, 2 more TIE Advanced, and 2 spicy Cad Banes because if you need them to capture units, I guess. I don't.
Yeah, I mean they clear the way.
I guess like that's the only good part because technically you could capture them with Cad Bane and just never swing, right?
Right.
and then you get their units forever and ever and ever. This is similar-ish to what we saw with Boba Red. This is a lot more reminiscent of the that Tarkin space deck, the green yellow, which was super popular. And it is It is a good deck. The question becomes, is this something that can stand up? So I think Django's ability with this deck. So you have your ISB agents, you have your daring raids. I don't know, force choke. You probably just killing whatever. Like, that's what you're killing.
Well, the daring raid isn't from a unit, so it doesn't trigger Django.
No. But if you when you play it with the ISB agent, sorry,
Yeah,
that's what I meant with it.
yeah. You have a fair amount of events that you can flash with ISB agent.
Yeah. And then you have, like, you do have the flamethrower brace. If you can get that off, it's a little harder when you don't have any ground units and you're only working with Django. You obviously have the elite starfighters, and then the Imperial Interceptors. Both those do ping damage. Though again, I found that Imperial Interceptor usually kills their space units pretty quickly.
Yeah,
So.
I feel like that's more for like a mirror kind of thing than it is.
Anything else?
Yeah.
And then obviously the Ruthless Raiders, and then that tank. So a nifty little deck. Again, obviously Django and that elite that stupid rogue was built for Django. Like, I don't care what it. That card was specifically built for Django. Like, somebody said, oh, let me give Django a unit that he can use with this ability. So neat little deck.
Yeah,
All right.
Staniszewski's deck is very similar. He did iterate, I believe, on it. It's more of a more toolboxy kind of thing. So his is the triple ISP agents, the triple Greedos. Those are the same. But he has 2 TIE fighters and 1 swoop down in the deck. Just for more space, more hey, they're 1 drop, so the math works out. When you're dropping more units, you can swarm the board a little bit more. The swoop down can come in clutch. He has triple daring raid, still the 1 force stroke, which hurts me.
Yeah, like, why, baby?
Personally, but like I get it. Triple cartel spacer, double no good to me dead, double crafty smuggler, triple Kylo silencer, triple surprise strike, double breaking in, triple 7 fleet defender. Also on 1 Van Brace, which I know he did attach to Django and was just mowing people down. He had a triple Lurking Tie, the triple dark raid, triple the P-38s, 1 Interceptor, triple Raider, triple Fets Fire Spray, 1 Heavy Pursuiter tank, and 1 Cad Bane main deck. In the side, he has double Wolf. That way, they can't heal that turn, right? You know, it's really sad if they drop a wolf and you're just like, cool, my redemption does nothing. Glad I have it. I got double Bazine, another Van Brace flamethrower, another interceptor, 2 TIE advanced, 1 change of heart, and a 2nd Cad Bane. My buddy Jake, he main decks the Tri-Fighters, the Droid Tri-Fighters. Which are in either of these decks, and he absolutely loves it. There's a little bit of a debate. Just be like, hey, do you run the Droid Tri-Fighters? Do you run Wolf? Wolf lasts for the entire turn when you play him. Droid Tri-Fighters last until they die. So you can kind of see why Staniszewski would have Wolf over the Droid Tri-Fighters. My buddy Jake just absolutely loves the Tri-Fighters, though.
I actually don't dislike the Tri-Fighters in this type of a deck, right? Like, I think they do, like, you're not healing anyway, so like you don't care about space. And like, if you have 2 big space, like if you have that Tri-Fighter and a Lurking TIE Phantom, you kind of have to kill that Lurking TIE Phantom, right? Because otherwise that thing's just going to murder you, and you can't be killed by anything but a space unit for the most part, right?
Right.
And make no opinion. Whatever.
Or, perilous position, I think.
Or perilous position, yeah, that could be used now too. So
I was speaking with Ryan, and he's just like, hey, people came up to me. He's like, he beat like 2 or 3 Djangos on his way up into the tournaments, right? So he's winning the mirror matches, and they're just like, Ryan, you keep winning these mirror matches. What are you doing? And he's like, well, I sided a whole bunch of cards in that I never saw, so I don't know. Just draw better than your opponent. So I mean, it's very effective. Ryan is an incredibly good player. So it's nice to see a Michigan guy go to the
Make it
top.
in.
Although it's really, really sad that I didn't get to play him because that Boba Fett just absolutely rocks that deck.
He's probably happy, so
He was very happy.
he probably was like, "Thank God I don't see Alex today." All right, let's move on to the new iteration of Han Yellow. Um, this one was the guy that was running the stream, basically the McClunky Gaming that streamed it. If you want, I did throw the link to their channel in our in the document for it, and I did it because I was actually rather impressed with some of their stream. I know it had some issues at the beginning of the day, but it was pretty nice to be able to see this again, and there was some decent matchups on there. So, kudos to them for however they determined to pick it. But they had 3 Hotshot Blasters, 3 Sparks, 3 L337s, 3 Surprise Strikes, 3 of, what do we call them? New R2D2, Flying R2D2.
R2D2.
Yeah. Only one Ezra, which I just find crazy. Like, I love me some Ezra. 3 Falcons, 3 Bodies, 3 of the liberated people, 3 DJ, 3 Tech, 3 Waylay, 2 Ozatucks, 3 Cunning, 2 Kiras, which that's one of the additions I like. We'll talk about that in a minute. 2 of the Cartel
The Cantina
Bouncers. Only 2 Plo Koon, 2 of, we'll call it Falcon number 2, and 3 Han. The sideboard was Bamboozled, which I think is a great sideboard card if you're not going to run that main deck. 3 C3POs, obviously to partner with R2. 2 of the Spare the Field, which I really want to know if he ever sided that. I just want to know if he ever sided that card in, because if nobody's running token decks, that card is like not working. But in token decks, it's great. Then
it literally clears the field like its name. Like it just
it works so well. Yep. I had that played against me in a pre-release, and I was like, well, all right, there goes my Grievous game. Good game, buddy.
But it is actually not too bad of attack, I guess, a little bit of against Django, right? Because most of the space units cost 3 or less.
Yeah.
So if they happen to have like multiple, not mercenary gunship defenders,
Yeah.
phantoms, you can bounce the phantoms, all of the phantoms back to their hands. You probably don't want to do the P38s, but you can.
Well, if they have no resources at the time, then go ahead and bounce them, and then you don't care. He also had 2 Gamorrean guards and 1 more Cantina bouncer. I think the Ezras, I think not having extra Ezras is just crazy to me. Like I especially in a Han deck, right? Like Ezra works so well when you can use Han's ability to get a resource and then play your Ezra, like or use Ezra to play something out of your, the top of your deck. Like, and if you know what it is, because the C3PO, it's even better. But that's not happening in this deck. But anyway, like, so obviously this is the same skin we saw for set 2 with a few added things. The Plo Koon is new. The Kira, I like the Kira ad personally as well. Especially going into a weekend where a lot of people were running the Django, and you would be playing against a lot of Sabines, right? So like you can kind of be a little like it's like another cheap peak card, and it's only a 4 resource drop, right? And yeah, she doesn't do a lot outside of that, like, and she can die pretty easily to take down some of these other things. But you're getting like an advantage of seeing somebody's hand and then naming a card to be a dick about it, right?
Yeah,
so
make triple dark raid cost 6.
Yeah, pretty good. Like I think that's really good, like really smart. And I wanted Kira to be good last set, and I don't think it made cut with some of the stuff, but now it makes a lot more sense, especially with these multiple cards we're getting for 2D.
Initially, there was Kira's, like 2 off Kira's in the mono yellow Hans, and I think they got moved to the sideboard as the time went on. But yeah, now main decking it is pretty nice. The 3/5 vanilla liberated guys is an interesting choice. You don't typically see that, but just having a 3/5 body means they'll stay around longer. And they're more sturdy, so you're more likely to get like Plo Koon off with Coordinate, or just have like a decent board kind of thing.
Yeah,
Also, with hot shot blasters, they're kind of scary.
you
They
have
don't
hot
check
shot
flags.
presses and surprise strike that all work with them, and they're like super awesome. So
Yeah, but yeah, so, I mean, it's a solid mono yellow Han. You get even more reach with your 2D2s now, and you still have like the hand hate with Sparkler Belly and Kira's, and a little bit of the cunning and Bodhi's, you know.
yeah,
So
I like this deck a lot actually. Like I kind of been thinking about switching back to plain yellow Han just because I like Han, and I know it's my first showcase I ever pulled. Do we have to go over this deck? I think this deck is
oh,
identical except for it has a one Death Trooper in it.
it does have a Stormtrooper, and it has a second copy of the Heavy Pursuer tank, but no, it's just basically the same, roughly the same shell of the red Django that you've been seeing.
We're gonna move on. We're
Yep.
not. Anakin, there you go, Alex, baby. Let's go through this deck. I want to see this one.
So one of my locals is now completely jumped onto this. He's probably going to modify a little bit, but yeah, it's a blue Anakin. I think this is what people were mostly going for until now there are two of them was spoiled, and then everyone just jumped on the yellow Anakin train instead. But this one makes a lot of sense. Uh, so this is triple force choke, double daring raid, triple restored arc, triple A wing, triple Sabine, triple Queel, triple Yoda, triple Jedi lightsaber, double red 3, triple village protectors, double Cassian, triple perilous position, double Kanan, one copy of the forces with me, double takedown, double razor crest, double Poe, double bravado, double Obi-Wan, a rival's fall, and triple Luke. In the side, you have triple Concord Dawn Interceptors, double Pillage, double Obi-Wan's Aether Sprite, a second copy of Rival's Fall, and double Crate Dragon. And I like this deck. I mean, the restore kind of minimizes the downside with Anakin, but mostly just the blue units tend to have low attack but high health. So when you can have someone that gives them extra attack so they can trade, he just starts out tempoing your opponent. Like Yoda is a 2/4 restore 2, but with Anakin, he's a 4/4
Mm.
for 3, which is nice. And then when he dies, you draw a card. And also, you could play Force Throw um,
And Jedi lightsaber.
and Jedi Lightsaber, and the Force is with me. Yeah. Um, I think some of these are kind of weird choices. Like, I would probably main deck the Concord Dawn Interceptors and
and three
probably the Aether Sprite.
and three Cassians. Like why are we going down to two?
I don't mind the two Cassians much. I think the Razor Crest is kind of weird. I get that it's restore and you can get back things like your Jedi lightsabers and your perilous positions, which is nice. But
Mm.
it just seems kind of weird. I think I'd just rather have Obi-Wan's Aether Sprites.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
because
there's
that
no
just
K2SO in this deck either. Did you notice
right.
see that? That's even crazier because that's got overwhelm. It's like with Anakin, it's like a 6/4. And then
Yeah,
does 3 damage or strips your opponent's hand.
yeah. So I mean, you still have to balance the red cards with Queel, but I don't think this one actually bothered too much to do that. So there's still, I mean, I didn't make top 8 at the event, and I think they did like for 3 days in a row. So, um, maybe they're onto something here. But it's a good deck. Um, I I built a lot of Anakin decks early on with Bravado, so I guess I'm glad that I'm kind of validated, but a little bit upset that people remember that card exists. That's just really silly with Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, I think it's just solid. It's a red blue force deck, and those are generally really good. But also, Anakin is very good at trading up. I wonder how many Jangos they ended up playing and how interesting of a match that could have been. Because they do have like triple arc, triple A wing, double red 3, so they have space presence.
Yeah, they got Razor Crest in there. They also have like their sideboard has 2 more space units, which they're probably there honestly for the jank
Yeah, I
is
mean you got the
probably what it's there
in
for.
there too, so like you just got the Sentinels, the Crate Dragons, I'm sure, is for when the games go long. But also, can you imagine like Anakin abilitying a Crate Dragon up to 12 to
Mm,
really overwhelm?
yeah, that's just
Yeah, it's a solid deck. Definitely. I enjoy it.
All right, let's move. We'll move on to the Sabine. This is the Dark
Nothing
Saber
changed.
version. Uh,
Literally nothing changed. There's no new three cards in there.
no,
Not in main deck.
they dropped one Cassian down. It looks like so they went down to two Cassians.
They go Dodonna.
They put Dodonna back in, which was, I believe, a KTOD thing that was discussed beforehand. Was adding the Dodonnas back in there if they're going to run Rebel suites.
They
And
have
then
two set 3 cards
yep, and that's it, which is crazy because I think there's a lot more with Sabine you can do. But they added Brain Invaders
in the side.
in the sideboard.
Two copies of Brain Invaders.
Of all things, like, and they play this. If you go back and watch the stream, that got played on stream, and then I think it ruined. I think he lost because he played that card.
That's tragic.
Because it helps with the Django, right? But it doesn't help you when you can't play a Dark Saber, and you can't do all these other things with your leader either. Like, it just you can't use
the countdown ping timer that she gets with that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
But
yeah, that is kind of weird that they didn't continue to iterate on this. Like you have Jyn Erso, right? Like she's a rebel in red. Maybe you need the space units, but like you can just replace 2 X-Wings with Jyn Erso. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
and I still don't like going down to 2 Cassian. I don't. Cassian in this deck is just so good. Like, just so good. And I think that it's that Rebel Assault. They want that immediate buff from Rebel Assault in the medal ceremonies, right? But I
yeah,
I feel like they just took a deck and this is what has been super popular. Let's add some Dodonnas in and some Brain Invaders
because I can.
Like, not any other cards you want to put in there, buddy?
You might go against a Hera. You never know. You just shut her ability off entirely.
If you go against a Hera and play that card, that's just mean. That's just a mean thing.
Hera Nala decks out there, just shut off their abilities immediately.
So, all right, let's move on. What has Ray got for us? It's a little bit different. There's some other stuff in there I haven't seen. Alex, what is this?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's actually pretty close to something that a couple of my logos have been brewing up. But yeah, it's Red Ray Tarkentown. You got triple Force Throw, double R2D2, double Restored Arc, triple A-Wing, triple Sabine, triple Yoda, double Jedi Lightsaber, triple Concord Dawn Interceptors, double Village Protectors, triple Perilous Position, double Open Fire, triple Kanan, double Takedown. I was going to say Tarkendown, double Takedown.
2 bases.
Yeah. Double the Nima Outpost Constables, which I see occasionally in Raid decks, just bring them up to a 3/7 Sentinel. Triple System Patrol Craft, almost probably specifically because of this tournament. Double Pillage, 1 of the Senatorial Corvettes. That's the new space unit from this set, the 5/4 Saboteur. When defeated, dump a card out of your opponent's hand. Double Obi-Wan, 1 Rivals Fall, triple Luke, 1 Mace, double Crate Dragon. In the side, you have a 3rd Village Protector, double K2SO, a 3rd Nima Outpost, 1 Fell the Dragon, which is the one that they run in the deck, 1 Vanquish, double Force Surrender, and double Redemption. It is kind of like they took the 2 or 3-ish different varieties of Raid decks and then just squashed them into one.
This is a JJ deck. That's what this is.
So it's just like, hey, I want to keep the open fires, but I'm going to drop it down, and I'm going to take the pillages, but I'm also going to drop that down. But also I need more space because Django is going to be a thing right now. But it's like, but also I want more Sentinel, but I'm going to dump, like, I'm not going to play the Chewbacca's. It's kind of all over the place, but it's very solid. I mean, it's just like a tough deck for people to get through. I've always liked the Red Ray decks a lot. Yeah, I mean, it just does work, and Ray is just turn 1 R2D2, turn him into a 2/5 is very strong.
Yeah.
And the one attack on the A-Wings and the Concord Down Interceptors are fantastic for Ray.
She loves as village people, and Ray is like, oh, hey, it's not with 3/3, and can be very dirty.
I do actually just really like the Senatorial Corvettes, just in general. I think they're a pretty strong ship. I feel like if it wasn't specifically this tournament, they might have ran a little bit more instead of the System Patrol Craft.
I think it's
But
better. And this deck gets really good because it gives you that discard, but like with it, it's like extra discard.
yeah, because you get that with the pillages. I mean, the K2s are on the side, but you have that and you got the force throw. You don't have pose in this one. So it's a little bit less focused on hand control. But it can still control really well between the triple perilous position, double open fire, double takedown, rivals fall.
Mm. It does feel like a JJ deck. I actually agree with you on that Senatorial Corvette. I feel like that's at least a 2 of. Like, I think that, like, I feel that, I mean, I get that you have to have the Sentinel in the space, but, like, I don't know, the Nemia Outpost, they're whatever. Like, and maybe it's because I play control decks, and that's what, like, I just laugh at you when you play that card and, like, murder it. So I don't feel as bad about it. But, I mean, I guess a 3/7 is still a pain in the butt to get.
3/7 Sentinel is just kind of a. It's not threatening, but it's just like, great, I have to deal with this now, and I have to run 2 to 3 units into it just to continue attacking them. And slowing them down with the village protectors and the Nemo outposts is very good in Ray.
All right, let's move on to the Kira deck. Kira Green. If you guys want, I released last week a Kira ECL version, an updated version with mine. I may openly admit that I did not think about that gunship. So that HMP gunship, I was not as high on, but I feel it's a little bit better than I thought it was with the fact that you get the win plate ability now. And with Kira, it works better than I thought it would work. You don't get an overwhelming
5/3 shielded.
Yeah, and you're just, I don't know. It works better than I thought, so I think I have to go back to my Kira deck, and actually tweak it for that. Which it sucks because I have to now go tear it apart again. Blah blah blah. But this deck is not a Chilson deck, which makes a little bit more sense, but it doesn't at the same time. It's a little bit more green. So you don't have the Chilsons in here like you would. And I think that's kind of one of the discussion points that we've all been having a little bit is Chilson better than some of these other things? And I think that's going to be a big question. Like, do we want Chilsons as Sentinels, or can we finally move on from trying to run a Chilson and kind of go this route? But they have 2 Infernal 4s, 2 Dr. Pershings, 3 Pike Sentinels, 2 of the, what is that, Rune, whatever
Rune
he says,
Hako.
Rune Hako Tana or whatever. 3 Power of the Dark Sides, 3 of the Super Laser Techs, 3 Calculating Magna Guards, 2 of the Perilous Pursuits, 3 Resupplies, 3 Vigilance, 2 Takedown, 1 Lom Pike, which I think is just a crime. 2 of the Patrol Crafts, 1 Fell the Dragon, 3 Overwhelming Barrages, 3 of the HMP Gunships, 1 Vanquish, 2 Vaders, 2 Mauls, 1 Reinforcement Walker, 2 Snokes, 3 Avengers, and the Lonely Devastator. The sideboard, you got your top targets. They added in, I would love to know if they ever used the Traitoresses. They added 2 Traitoresses in, which I think is spicy because that we have not been running that in Kira. But with some of these lower drop units, they actually might be better this time around than it was before. Then you also have 1 Pulse Return, 2 Super Laser Blasts, and 2 Relentless units, which I was main decking, and I still feel that those are a good main deck of Devastators. But we'll see. So interesting enough, this is obviously not the ECL deck, so this is definitely a grindy. This is closer to like what I would feel your Boba deck is like. This is a very grindy deck. the 3 vigilance main deck is hilarious because we talked about that like a lot at the last PQ I went to. Is like people didn't like, why are you running vigilance main deck? And I was like, I've been running 2 vigilance main deck in my Kira for a long time because it's just such a good card against Sabines. Like I can heal 5 and kill something in one turn to stall them out, which is really good, especially if you drop the wrecker and overwhelmed and has damage on it. Like super nice to kill that stupid somewhat. I don't know. It's a different one. I will say the big thing I think is really good is that gunship that I definitely missed out on. It's also noticeable. Look, they went down to 2 Vader. Like, did you ever think there would be a world where you only ran 2 Vaders? I don't know. I know why they're doing it. I like the reinforcement walker, and this deck is again more event focused and grindy. You don't have as many low drops. You don't need Vader. I don't know. I hate only one Lawn Pike. I love that card so much.
Yeah, Lawn Pike's great for sure.
So
yeah, I mean, it seems solid. I mean, it's a Kira deck. I think you got a lot of help with that with like the calculated mana guards.
Yep.
I think those are huge. So
there's no Grievous in this deck either, though, which I think is just crazy. Like, why are you not running Grievous? Like, Grievous is great. Like, I don't get that. I would cut a resupply and a vigilance for 2 Grievuses at minimum, right? Like, just let me have my Grievuses. They're so good. What about that Perilous Pursuit? Do you really think that's? I don't know. Do you think that's?
So I was having this debate with actually a lot of my locals, like 5 or 6 of them, and we're just like, do I do make an opening or do I do Perilous Position? If I am outright killing a unit, I would much rather have make an opening, right? Because it does the same thing, but now I heal too. If I am not outright killing the unit, I think Perilous Position is better, especially if you can hit leaders, because you can hit leaders with them, right? You flip Yellow Han over, you throw Perilous Position on him, and he's just the most unhappy thing in the world. He no longer gets to swing in, so you could drop his 7 drop, right? And but the counterpoint is like, well, if there's upgrade removal, which occasionally there is, you got the pose. Some people were main decking the confiscates. I think they kind of moved away from that. Now that's a different meta, and you don't have Boba's armor, and like Perilous Position isn't as good as make an opening. I ultimately decided to go with the Perilous Positions, honestly, mostly just so I can just stop leaders dead in their track. Because I have done like, oh, hey, their Anakin is coming out. I'm going to give them a Perilous Position and then run them out of cohort into them, and they die immediately.
All right. And that's fair. And that's, I just didn't know, I guess. It just felt like a high tax for 3. You do get to exhaust them. I guess I don't know. I guess you get the exhaust out of it, right? That's pretty good, especially. I don't
know. That's the reason to run it over make an opening, is because it exhausts. And again, it's kind of like if you're outright killing the unit, which is how I believe you and I have been playing a lot of making openings.
Yeah,
that's how we did it. It was just like, well, there's gone now. I don't have to worry about this TIE Defender or the lurking TIE Phantom or whatever, right? With Perilous Position, it's more like you attach it, you exhaust it. If they only have 2 attack, like I did it to an X-Wing, like, well, if they only have 2 attack, they ain't doing anything. I don't really care too much that they're just kind of sticking around. So it is technically permanent like that. So like if I have no intention of killing the unit, make them functionally useless. But it's just that exhaust. Like in my Green Cad Bane matchup, he overwhelming barrage his Cad Bane unit and then cleared my board, and then I just Perilous Positioned him. So I'm like, well, at least I don't take 9 damage off of this. So yeah, the exhaust is useful. You just have to we just have to change the mindset of like, we're not using it to outright kill, we're using it to delay. And then I guess if you want to go into the unit, you can still do it like I do with leaders.
True. And I think that's a fair point. So I do like the leader. I never really thought about that. I mean, like even like on a Sabine, against a Sabine, like you play this and like it just stops her. Like then she plays the dark saber and you just don't care as much as you used to.
Yeah,
And
she hits for 5 into base with a dark saber, which isn't great, but also she has 6 health, which is kind of manageable.
yes, that makes it a little bit easier to kill her. Whereas before you're like, oh my god, how am I going to get rid of this thing?
I have like perilous position to Cad Bane and then take him down.
Yeah.
Because now he's at 5 health.
So I do like it. I do think it's an interesting thing, and I think we'll have to see like if we don't get upgrade hate, maybe that's something that we can deal with. We're gonna save Pelt for last. I want to go through just this Yoda deck real quick. If you want to touch on this, I don't even know how quick we can go. I don't know. Let's go through the Yoda deck. I'm gonna let you take the Yoda deck.
Yeah, I can speed through it. I have relative experience doing
Okay.
something similar to this. So, we got yellow Yoda. It's got triple Grogu, triple the Padawan Starfighter. They're the little Aether sprites. Triple the yellow R2D2, triple Yoda, double Jedi lightsaber, triple Ezra, triple You're My Only Hope. You got to staple that in the Yoda deck. Triple Concord Dawn Interceptor, one Hello There, double Ahsoka, triple. Now there are 2 of them, which is kind of a crux of this deck. You got triple Kanan, double The Force Is With Me, one Azatuk, triple Obi-Wan's Aether Sprites, triple Ki-Adi-Mundi, triple Plo Koon, triple Obi-Wan, and triple Luke. In the side, you got double Top Target, double Spark of Rebellion, double Make an Opening, didn't care about the perilous position, one copy of a Waylay, double Takedown, and a second Azatuk. A lot of this is just like, hey, I have a ton of Force units. Now there are 2 of them. Lets me play it for cheaper. I've got You're My Only Hope that lets me play things for cheaper. I have a local of mine who runs a very similar deck, but it's Obi-Wan. So it's like Obi Yellow. He even has like the Padawan Starfighters and all that. Dropping a turn 2 Ki-Adi-Mundi is really funny. You don't get the coordinate off immediately, but he's still a 5/7 that your opponent has to deal with. I played something like Yellow Anakin. I've dropped a Plo Koon on turn 2. That's pretty good. But just Force energies. You don't have a lot of control, but you have just really hard hitting units.
Is this like more of a tempo-ish mid-range type deck? Is that what this is going for?
Yeah, it's very tempo. It's just like you got the Grogus to exhaust them, and then you just kind of overwhelm them with the Jedi lightsabers and your high attack. You got You're My Only Hope, so you can play things for cheaper. Play Luke for 5 resources. If you set it up, all you have to do is something leaves play. If you have those 2 cards. So it's mostly just trying to cheat out some strong units and then just win off of that. But also you have a fair amount of restore and a little bit of control. Like it's solid. Again, Obi-Wan yellow, roughly the same thing. Yoda yellow, still strong. I think that's the color most people gravitated to was mono blue Yoda and yellow Yoda. My first instinct was mono blue Yoda, and I kind of like it better. Again, vigilance for 4 is silly, or 2 if you have Bendu. But I mean, I think it's still solid. I'm still iffy on Ahsoka, but again, she's a Force unit that you can do things with.
Yeah. All right, so we have 3 iterations of this Pelt deck. I do have the link to his video just so everybody knows. Like I'm gonna I'll be open. Like I couldn't get a hold of him, but I did. He did post a video, so the link is in the description. So he talks about this in more detail than we're gonna go into. We are not gonna go into a million pounds of detail. I will say my first, like, I am very confused why I have a scanning officer as my official officer, and I have no other officers in this deck at all. Like not even the sideboard. And then he has 3 iterations of it, obviously going through each of the different days. As you can see, he went 9th, which is I will say that especially against like a Django type thing, like where we see this like aggressive aggro and the space aggro, like that's pretty good, right? 9th is still pretty good for Pelp. The first day was 3rd place. That's really good for Pelp. And then the last day he made 2nd place with it. So Alex, do we just go through version 3 and kind of say that's the smarter one, or do we want to go through each iteration? How do you want to do
Yeah,
that?
I no, I definitely don't want to do each
Okay.
iteration, but like, yeah, it's like either the first one because that's like his initial instinct. That's what he built the deck on, or I guess maybe the third one if maybe he iterated to try to adapt to the SCG con meta. But I think the first one might just be the most logical, right? Because like that's the deck that he would bring to a tournament.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, he has triple no good to me dead, double sneak attack, triple scanning officer, triple Bazine, double cloud rider, triple mercenary gunship, triple the emperor's royal guards, triple super laser tech, triple resupply, triple P-38, triple waylay, triple overwhelming barrage, triple syndicate lackeys, double change of heart, triple Vader, double Maul, double Cad Bane, double reinforcement walker, and double devastator. In the side, he has two copies of Unmasking the Conspiracy.
Which is
Uh,
hilarious.
well, I mean, I guess you kind of have draw advantage with Palpatine, right? So he's almost can get rid of it. One merciless contest, very good if you have no board, or
Hmm.
like a super laser tag, right? Triple Palpatine's return, one evacuate, double relentless, and a third devastator. So this is very much okay. One, yeah, I agree with you. The scanning officer is wild to only have that in Palpatine unit to be like your only officials, right?
Yeah, like, crazy to me. That's. I mean, he did
But
well without it,
yeah, I mean
but
he did significantly better than I did. So yeah, it's just a lot of exhaust, a lot of control. You got Bazine to rip out their problem cards. You do have ramp. You can do first turn ramp with the sneak attacks, super laser tech combo, which is hilarious.
Mhm.
You got the resupplies. I mean, you just try to get to the late game. You got change of heart for any big bombs they have. Triple waylay. I mean, the Cad Bane unit, the Maul unit, and the Vader unit, and you're running Devastator, which is great. Just if there's not a lot of aggro, you can kind of get away with these things. I think it's actually not too bad against Django, just between the no good to me dads, the Bazines to rip out the triple dark raids. You have overwhelming barrage, you got the waylays. So I can see why it did really well. Um, Further on, he kind of iterated. He added, Fell the Dragon in the sideboard, which, occasionally we saw out of aspects that cost Fell the Dragons. Um,
A
you know, he,
Bosk. He
yeah,
added
yeah,
a
he,
boss.
he
That
had a
was
little bit of ambush. He had the Kintan Intimidators to, I guess, probably hedge against aggro because you just run them in there and exhaust their good stuff. Uh, yeah, later on he added Traitoruses, a little bit of Ularans, kind of all over the place, but he's just iterating, depending on what he saw. And they're solid. Again, like his video will explain it all, but it's
yes.
just like we were talking last side about maybe yellow pulp, just exhaust and get to the end game.
Yep. And if you go, but like his all of his lists have very. This is like our red version, but in yellow, right? Like it's
Right.
how do I stop you? Except for I don't like the lack of Sentinel really does bother me a little bit. Um, especially I don't know. It is what it is, but it's the same thing as kind of like our red pub. This is not like I don't want to be. I want to control you just till I can hit that resource churn to be able to drop some big stuff and then blow you out. And that's what this is. Like that change of heart, like that's so good in this deck, right? Like it just you play the fire spray. Guess what's mine now? It's my fire spray. I could play change of heart for 6 resources. I probably already ramped, and guess who's gonna pop up fire spray? This guy. Like just
Yeah.
like that's in this like that change of heart. I wish I had a red smuggle cost so I could play it help red.
But yeah, no, I'm always down for more Palpatines. It's nice that you get like the P-38s. They trigger,
Hmm.
they help trigger his ability just by pinging for damage out there. And I think Sneak Attack's just a really cool card. I know he just caught it
Hmm.
from the rest of the iterations, but it's always fun just to like, hey, I'm gonna sneak attack my uh, like reinforcement walker or something, right? And then now I heal 6 while doing 6, or sneak attack and a devastator is hilarious. Drop it, deal 8 to 10 damage, swing in for 10, and then leave.
Yep, and it's just gone. Very crisp. I don't know. I like the deck. I do think it's nice to see Pulp come back, and I think as we kind of wrap up, right? Like that's kind of what I wanted to like just say is like he openly admits in his video that Pulp is still bad. He still struggles into like aggro and extreme aggro. But if we see Django crop up, Django helps with some of that. Django has good value into some of the Sabines, right? So the question
Django
is
should pretty much always beat Sabines.
yeah. So the question now kind of becomes is like if Pelp is really the only bad matchup like for Pelp like a Sabine. If that's like okay, that's not the only one. I would say if Lando's become popular for some reason again, like Lando into that's not fun. Like I hate playing Lando into Pelp. But like
A lot of extreme go wide decks.
Can we have control decks though, like Pelp decks that are not just green blue? You know, like can we actually have a control deck for once? That's going to be a little that has other flavors, and I think Palpatine's the one to do it, and I think Palpatine is underrated in this set. Like this meta, I think there should be more Palpatines out there, and I think like we released a Palpatine Red video with our first take, but we've never gone to a tournament with it. Though I wish you had gone. I should have taken Pelp. You should have just done it. You should have just done it. Damn it. That would have been hilarious.
I like that Boba deck a lot, man, and it goes well into the field.
It does. And you didn't know how many Sabines would be there, right? So like, it's not super fun to play into Sabine.
Yeah.
So. But do you think, as we wrap up, do you think that where you have like a chance to see something that's no longer like, can we have a little bit more balanced meta with Boba gone, that we see a little bit more smatterings of control and mid-range and not everything just like aggro and mid-range? Like we could get some of this control stuff back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. There was a little bit less like outright aggro than I expected. I guess like the Django Tarkin downs are pretty aggro, but I expected a little bit more, a little bit people to fall on their old habits, but I guess it is technically like 2.5 weeks into this set, so people are just trying a lot of new stuff. So that's always really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. Would do it again, probably with sleep this time.